Yes, it's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday Five. Over the next 3 hours, the biggest debates, hottest topics and entertaining interviews. Let's crack on with tonight's first debate, though. And of course, I love abusing the position of chair on the show, so I'm going to kick us off. There is not a single white British child in 72 schools across England. In 454 schools, white British children make up less than 2% of the student body. White British children are also now a minority in 1 in 4 schools. That is data from the Department of Education reported by The Telegraph today. I strongly believe this is indirect social engineering on a national scale. Tell me this. How does any country expect assimilation, let alone a shared culture, when thousands of children grow up in classrooms where white British identity is the exception, not the norm? Will there be a White History Month to help with these minority children to feel included? Will there be DEI initiatives to give them a leg up? Of course not. They're the wrong kind of minority, aren't they? And yet it seems if you even dare to raise these questions, the government now might label you as a potential terrorist. That's not hyperbole. That is the Home Office's own Prevent programme, including what they are dubbing cultural nationalism as a red flag for radicalisation. If you believe that Western culture is under threat from mass migration, or think that some groups aren't integrating, that alone might get you flagged for de-radicalisation. So let's be absolutely clear. Mass migration is driving down wages, jacking up housing demand, crushing the NHS, and putting enormous pressure on public services. Not forgetting costing the taxpayer tens of billions of pounds. And after all of that flagellation, we're told we can't discuss the failure of some to integrate. Further fueling division, isn't it? Riots and resentment. The kind we've seen erupting in cities across Europe, even here in the UK. In my strong opinion, what's happening is not accidental, it's ideological. Our own government-funded institutions are treating British identity as a threat, all while they continue to flood the country with people from foreign areas, some of whom hate our way of life, who may even then go on to live in ghettoised areas detached from British culture entirely. It seems to me that what our governments really want is obedience and your silence, and they are pushing this country to the utter brink. Will, I'll come to you first on this. As a migrant, I think it's only fair. Do you think that we should be concerned that white children are becoming minority in schools up and down parts of the country?
Yes, we should. You said this was a form of indirect social engineering there. It's not. It's a form of very direct social engineering. Now, is there a problem in and of itself with not having white skin? Of course there's not. But so often, ethnicity is correlated with culture, and the very clear correlation that you can see here is that the cultural makeup of this country and the cultural makeup of schools is being diluted beyond measure. And the end outcome of that is, of course, you're going to see a dilution of what it means to be British and a dilution of the values that the people of this country traditionally have loved so much.
Yeah, Kai, I'll come to you on this. I suspect you'll disagree with me, but I strongly believe that you cannot have assimilation into the country if the white identity, particularly when kids are growing up in schools, is completely missing.
I'm not sure if you're talking about, white identity or British identity.
White British, let me clarify.
Or whether your problem is...
hang on, let me clarify. White British identity.
And is your problem with minorities not sort of assimilating, or is there a problem with ghettoisation?
Yeah, it's assimilation.
Or is there a problem with them really existing? Because actually, you said that white people are sort of the wrong kind of minority, but that is what you're saying about vast swathes of people across the UK who are British, happen not to be white, and you're lumping them in with essentially sort of small boats crossings and all of that. You're muddying the waters, and it doesn't serve anyone. Let's have a conversation about integration and about diversity, how that can work, but don't lump people in the same boat.
Let me just ask you this very quick, because I'd like to bring Trey into this argument as well. If you went to, let's say, Pakistan, and there was an entire area where only 2% of the children in schools there were Pakistanis from that ethnicity of the country. Do you think that all the other, let's say they were all white kids there, are going to integrate well into Pakistani culture?
No, but let me say that stat is wrong, and I think
it's ghettoisation
is
a stat from the Department of Education.
Wrong, as in it's wrong that is the case. There needs to be better integration.
I agree. It's almost like, imagine all of those kids were like me. Go to the pub with everyone else, into British culture like everyone else. It's a distinction. It's almost like, can you not be black and be British?
No,
so imagine,
right? That's utter gaslighting.
No, but do you know what I mean? No, I mean it like this, almost like, imagine those kids like West Indian kids, Nigerian kids, British born though, right? Is it the skin colour of those kids? Because is there an assumption that they're not assimilated?
Okay, let's
change it. I'm trying to understand it a little bit.
Let's flip it around. Let's go to the...
It's great to have these conversations.
In Whitechapel, where I trained as a doctor, where there are schools there that do not have English on their signs outside the school because of the cohort that they're serving, which is mainly Pakistani, Bangladeshi.
Yep.
Now, imagine I put my daughter in there. Would she fit in? Would she be accepted even?
But that's a language issue. We're talking about white British.
Well, okay, well, actually, let me challenge you that Let me challenge you on that, Trey, because I agree with Renee. It's not. It's the reason why the language is a foreign language there is because the parents can't speak English.
Yeah.
And then how do you expect those kids to integrate when their school is in an Arabic?
No, so I agree on that. So if you said it's that, their first language is in English, it's different. But you're saying that white kids without knowing, well, what is that 98%?
Okay, can I just
But what is the 98% made up of?
Can I just expand it?
Kids like me who speak English, whose culture's English, who would fight and die for this country.
They don't want you.
Hang on.
Can I speak?
Go on.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, thanks. What if all of the girls in that school were wearing headscarves? How would that make my daughter feel?
Is that the case, though?
Yes.
Are they wearing headscarves,
Yes.
though, is what I'm saying? OK, they're wearing headscarves. They're a different religion.
All of them.
OK, but what if they were Scandinavian, for instance?
But they wouldn't be wearing headscarves.
This is gaslighting.
No, but it isn't.
No,
But guys,
but
you need to look at it like this, right? What constitutes being British? Is it skin colour?
Well, so I think there's an important part of this is that inherently, when you are raised within, particularly identity-wise, white British culture, you have got a culture that goes back hundreds of years. That's mostly passed down, and I suspect you were brought up with a lot of white people around you as well. It would help you become the man you are today and very well assimilated. I don't think, and the same for my little brothers who are also second-generation immigrants, that had they not been brought up in that identity, they'd be very different. And I think that does come through the family. And so I suspect a lot of these areas will have second-generation immigrants whose parents are also sending their kids to the school for the first time in Britain. And I think it's important that the national identity is retained in order for them to grow up not feeling ghettoised
100% true.
not feeling that they are detached from British culture.
But bear in mind, there also was a white flight from East London into Essex. So people actually left these areas.
That's true.
Which made those areas one demographic. We have to think about it. It's almost like there's this open, we want to assimilate with these black and brown people. The case was people are actually leaving and moving them away. And now the cause is they formed ghettos. They didn't necessarily want to form those ghettos.
Exactly.
People didn't want to live with them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nuance to this, But it is a great debate because it's one about identity and culture. But it makes me think, as a black British person, what makes you British? Is it my skin colour? Or
we've got to wrap. I'm sorry, we've got to wrap this up. I don't think it's about skin colour, by the way. Like I said, two of my little brothers are different race, mixed race as well, and it's about culture. That's what worries me the most.
And I agree. Cultural, it is important.
We have to move on now. Unfortunately, this is a good debate. I'm sure we'll have more of it.